started, I'll read through a checklist to ensure that the meeting that we are holding is in compliance with the right to know law. We find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12 pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04 and its extension, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. In accordance with the emergency order, I'm confirming that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possible by video and other electronic means. We are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the committee and selected legislative staff have the ability to communicate contemporaneously in this meeting through this platform. And the public has access to contemporaneously watch or listen to the meeting on Zoom, YouTube, and via phone by following the directions and links provided on the general court website. We have provided public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting in the Senate calendar. We're providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anyone has a problem, please email remote.senate@ledge.state.nh.us or call 603-271-3043. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Finally, let's start the meeting by placing a roll call attendance. When each member states your presence, please also state where you are and if there is anyone else in the room with you during this meeting, which is required by the right to know law. Okay, so I'll begin with the roll call. Eric Anderson. Jay Baker. I am here and I am alone in my apartment with my cat. Steve Kuchar. Chris Williams, I believe, is in his place. Rennie Cushing. Jen Dykstra.
I am here and alone in my place. My internet's a little unstable, so I'm just going to stop my video.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Jen. Brian Janako. Mark Godfroy. Jason Jandrin. Alex LaFerrier. Gino Marconi. Melissa Paley.
I'm here with my dog.
Cherie Patterson.
Good morning. I am here and I'm in my office alone.
Tom Sherman.
I'm on the Zoom porch in my home in Rye, and I'm alone.
All right. Judith Spang.
I'm here rehabbing at Cape Cod, and I am alone.
All right. Sabrina Stanwood.
Good morning. I'm in Hopkinton, and I'm joined by a 6-year-old girl and a new guinea pig.
Oh, wow. Great. Michael Edgar.
Yeah, I'm present. I'm here in my house in Hampton, and my wife's in the house also. And I actually, yeah, you mentioned Rennie, you called his name. I took his place on the commission.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Senator Waters. All right. With that, we will begin the meeting. We can look at our agenda. Let's see here. Okay, the first item on the agenda is to approve notes from the October meeting. Any comments or additions on the notes? I sent those around on Friday before we vote. Okay, we'll Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the October meeting?
So moved.
All right. Sheree, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, I will call roll call and we can take a vote on this. There we go. I don't know if do I have to do the full roll call or just people who are here? Anybody know?
Alan would know if he's still on.
Just do the people that are present. What's the point of taking the time?
I would do the people who are present, then ask if there are any other members that you haven't called.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
That call the people that you see and then ask if anybody else was
Okay.
here. Yes.
All right, Sheree Patterson,
Yes.
Judith Spang,
I'm abstaining. I wasn't there.
Tom Sherman,
Yes.
Susan Lambert. Oh, I'm sorry, not on the commission. Michael Edgar,
Aye.
Jen Dykstra,
Yes.
Melissa Paley,
Yes,
Sabrina Stanwood,
Yes.
Eric Chapman, I vote yes. Did I say Michael Edgar? Some of the names are moving around.
Yes, you did. I said aye.
Okay, did I miss anybody? Anybody else on the call from the commission would like to vote? Can you let us know the number of people that were yes and abstained? Let's see, I think there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 7 yes and 1 abstention. So we approve the minutes. All right. Okay, the second item is just acknowledging that we have a report due for 2020. Most of our meetings were talking about combining the report, well, impacted by COVID, and some of those meetings were kind of looking back at what we had talked about, thinking about pulling together our previous reports and putting them forward for a hearing. So there wasn't a lot of new territory that we covered in the 2020 version of our meetings, but I just wanted to bring that up for the commission to recognize, and I'll be taking a little bit of time to provide a summary for that report that is overdue, but we've been late before. So I just want to know any comments or thoughts or suggestions about that before we move on. Okay, so the next topic is really the meat of the meeting for today, is just to discuss the hearing that we have talked about putting forward January 25th to present our work to date. So I wanted to take this time to talk a little bit more about the agenda for that meeting, and a little bit more detail about, we talked about a publication of a report, and we have a little bit of progress to report on that, and then also sort of marketing for that meeting. So I guess to begin with, I'm wondering if people have thoughts or ideas about what the agenda for that hearing would look like, and who maybe we would think of for leading the meeting itself. Anybody have?
Eric, this is the hearing that would be targeting the legislature?
Yes, the saltwater representatives, but I think we talked about making it more broadly open to a larger group, and also commissions and committees that might have people of interest on those, and also maybe city or municipal groups. I think we had thought of a broader set of an audience, but But I think the core group was the saltwater representatives.
Yeah, I think I brought up the idea of a broader set only because we can't work in isolation. We have to sort of show the imperative for this commission
Mhm.
to the entire body,
Yeah.
or at least all the people that are interested, because they're all going to be voting for or against what we recommend. So making sure they're all educated. I would just put in my 2 cents, which would be the first one would be a historical perspective of the commission. As an introduction, I don't know who would be best to give that. Maybe Melissa could even do that. If someone who's been here from the very start, Senator Waters might be a good person to do that, because he's part of the legislature. And then the second component would be almost in a bulleted way, talk about all of the different issues that the commission has addressed, so that people understand the breadth of the commission's work. And then after that, if moving forward, what do we want the legislature to do or pay attention to? Just as broad outlines. That's my thought on it.
Great. Any additional thoughts on that? That's a nice little summary. It seems comprehensive. Melissa, what do you think?
I think it would be great for Senator Waters to maybe kick it off, since he convened the commission.
Mhm.
I think your idea, Senator Sherman, of then breaking it down into specific topics with maybe a brief, very brief overview of each of the 3 topics that we've addressed. Maybe Alex could present on ocean acidification. I would be happy to present on nutrients. Others, there are plenty of others who might want to do that. And then marine plastics, maybe Jen or someone else would want to present on that. But so we have sort of a brief overview of each of the major topics that we've tackled and the key findings. And then whether we want to try to get into recommendations for the legislature based on each topic, or tackle kind of legislative, agenda maybe as sort of the final portion. I think that might make more sense, so that maybe we as a commission pull out the really highest priority recommendations we have across the topics and focus on those for where we'd love to, where we would urge legislative action.
I would just add one more thing. I'm sorry, Judith. One more thing, and think of this as an opportunity to both educate and update the legislature. I see Senator Waters is on now, so I didn't get the chance to volunteer him without him present, which is what I usually like to do. But really, when I think about what the legislature, for the most part, is from around the state, and a small percentage is from the seacoast and from the areas impacted by this commission. So helping them get an update on the health and what we're seeing or what is being observed is happening along New Hampshire's seacoast, I think would also be an opportunity for education. Sorry, Judith.
Yeah, good to see you, Tom. This may be a topic that we need to get into a little bit more, but I'm thinking about legislation, and I have 4 bills in that relate to our work, and I'm wondering what the commission's position is going to be on those 4 bills. When you're going to be making this presentation and talking about legislation, would you be referring to these specific bills, for example? And I know Senator Waters also has in a bill or 2.
Yeah, Melissa here. I mean, I think if the bills that, whatever bills might be coming up, if they fit squarely within the recommendations that we've made in our report, then by all means, we should absolutely highlight those.
Okay. I'll be happy to share them with you at any moment.
Please do. Maybe we should have a discussion about that if we have time within this.
Right. I have to leave the Zoom at 9:45. I'm working on a land conservation thing that I have to leave at 9:45. So just as long as I have time before then.
Yeah, and perhaps Senator Sherman and Senator Waters also have legislation upcoming that we should
Right.
know about and how it might fit into the context of our reports and this presentation.
Well, sorry I was late. If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
So I put in the bill on the coastal program. Again, there is some hope that the bills that were in 1234 that was vetoed could be brought together as a package again to save legislative work. But despite the fact we could probably get that done in the Senate, the House, I think, would be no holds barred. So I put it in a separate bill. It's possible there'll be a omnibus bill with it in too. Otherwise, I'm still thinking about some things on plastics. I don't think, and I think Judith would confirm this, that anything that involves a fee that has any chance of passing. So I'm not, unfortunate. I think the coastal cleanup bill is probably, I mean, what's the point? So it's kind of hard to know what we can do given the makeup of the legislature.
I think,
Go ahead.
I'm thinking that I'm bringing in my bill again on, it's now LSR 741 relating to foam. And I'm back and forth. The Democratic caucus was very opposed to bringing in anything that would goad the monster, that would not be popular with our new Republican majority. I'm thinking that when we're talking about to the public and to the legislature about legislation that is needed, that we shouldn't shrink from mentioning the ones that we think that would be more specific. And we could say it involves a fee, but but anyway, I think that we should not shrink from mentioning legislation that would be needed. I went ahead with the foam one because I think it was pretty distinct from any of the plastic bag ones. But I've had to do some fancy footwork around making sure that DES is not on the hook for enforcement. So we'll see if I can do that.
Okay, well, why don't we just, for a minute, just sort of try to get to a finishing point with thinking through.
Yeah, sorry.
And then, but let's try to get there pretty quickly. I think we're fairly close, and maybe I can update Senator Waters with where we were with the discussion when he arrived. So what we were talking about an agenda for the hearing, and I think where we landed, at least at this point, just to summarize what I think I heard, was that we begin with a general introduction about the commission and the history of the commission. That hopefully, and I think Senator Waters, you weren't here, so you were quickly nominated. In the spirit of that, I guess, to take down on that. We'll just leave that there for now, and then have folks who are more closely involved with each of the reports talk about the topics that we discussed with the commission. So that might suggest Alex DeFerrier could lead the discussion on ocean acidification. Melissa Paley offered to talk about nutrients. Jen Dykstra's name came up with respect to marine debris. I think it might make sense after that to provide sort of an overview. It was also, I think Tom mentioned an interest in presenting sort of an overview of kind of a little bit of a broader sort of state of the coast, I guess, kind of taking advantage of the opportunity to give sort of a state of the coast kind of overview, which might be useful also to introduce or plant the seed about some of the things that we're thinking about discussing next with the commission, which I think would also be important to bring forward. I'd be happy to talk about where we're going to be going, if that would be helpful. And then the next piece would be sort of this topic about legislative action that we would like folks to pay attention to. And I think there's some discussion that we just had about how we would approach that, what the tone would be, how we would, and that's going to be something we're going to need to talk about in more detail. I think I'm not sure who would be a good person to talk about that. Could that be Steve Kuchar? Or maybe someone.
Eric, my only advice would be perhaps someone science background from DES.
Okay.
Because that gives it a different level, or from UNH. It gives it a different, I don't mean to slight anybody, but David, jump in, but I just think it gives it a sense of objectivity and credibility that might not come from me giving that presentation or something. Mm-hmm. You'll notice I'm really great at volunteering others, but I really think that's having that state agency talk about something like that with a scientific background might be the best way. But David or Mike or Judith, what are your thoughts?
Yeah,
I agree.
Is this for the overview of the sort of state of the coast?
Right. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, for the overview of the state of the coast. Yeah, that
could be. Sorry, Eric. You'd moved on. I was still back on the state of the coast.
Okay.
I would nominate Eric to do that.
Great. He would fit. I mean, he's chair, he's science, and he's UNH. So that would fit. Thanks, Eric.
Sure. No, I can do that.
That's what's known as a setup.
Yeah, the setup. What about the legislative overview? Who would make sense to do that?
I'm going to nominate Tom Sherman for that. Someone's got to.
Yeah.
I think, exactly. Well, I would love to do it, but I would think that looking at the expertise here and the long view, I would pick David for that, but I'm happy to do whatever you want.
Do it. I mean, I'm on energy and natural resources, or will be, so.
Right.
Well, and Senator Waters, you are going to be doing the introduction, and you would certainly come back for the summary, and maybe it makes sense for you to come back and also give that legislative overview. But I mean, if we want to include more, commission members, it is an opportunity to bring Tom in.
Well, David and I could split it maybe a little bit, but.
Okay.
I just don't want Tom to get off scot-free here.
Exactly. I feel like he's begging to be, there's a little payback.
I'll do the summary and conclusion.
Well,
or I could moderate questions and answers. How's that?
I'm not sure if it balkanizes things too much, but we could also have the people who have legislation on particular topics take it and take those sections.
Yeah.
Like who has a bill on plastics, who has a bill on marine debris.
Well, maybe whoever's leading that section can make that, make that call, and they could
call on them, right?
Yeah. Okay, good.
Judith, you mentioned who has a bill on marine debris. Does anybody have a bill on marine debris?
Tom's going to put in one.
Only with the recommendation of this commission. I wouldn't do it.
I mean, I don't mean to make light of it. It's just, I had one in, but it had a fee attached to it. And there's just going to be immense pressure upon legislation in the first year people will file, but I don't know if the House is going to have a super rules committee that's going to sort through bills, but the Senate is. And so, I'm just not sure whether putting things in for the sake of putting them in or having something in is a good strategy for us this year.
No, I agree with that 100%, David. I also think that we've got the second year of the biennium, which won't be a budget year, hopefully. And we will also have a better sense of having the pulse of this legislature. So I'm with you 100%, David, on keeping, especially anything that smacks of controversy. It's just not worth it. It's going to die before it even gets to the floor.
Also, it's highly unlikely that any study committee or study commission of any sort will be passed. So if a bill, that option, well, a bill is there and they say, well, we'll study it. Well, no, we're not going to be studying things.
Yeah, and that's the problem with putting something in the second year. You can't say, well, it needs to be studied.
Well,
Well,
but Judith, there will likely be my my understanding of what's happening is that we'll be in a much better place to be doing commissions and committees in the second year of the biennium than we are this year because of
this year is
vaccination.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I agree with that, David. I think you're right.
All right, so let's just wrap this up and then we can move to sort of legislative updates, and we can give the opportunity for Judith and others to share some more detailed updates. So at the end of the last meeting, we talked about, publication of a report, and it was suggested we reach out to Tricia Miller, who had done the Coastal Risks and Hazards report. I reached out to her, didn't hear back initially, but then did hear back last Friday. And so she is interested. And I'll maybe just offline, Melissa and I can continue to pursue that a little bit further, but we do have, sounds like she's got the time and the space and just had some good questions to kind of line up and get better acquainted with what we're asking. Melissa, anything on that do you think we should talk about, or can we just leave it at that for now?
I think we can leave it at that. Did we discuss, since we haven't really been back in touch with her with answers to her questions, we don't have a cost estimate from her.
Yeah, we don't. We'll just have to, we just heard back from her last Friday. We need to get back to her. I think just looking through these questions, I think we can give her enough information. I know we were thinking about something with figures and graphics, and we will need to have someone or some people working with her if we are going to add some complexity to that beyond just reframing the report with some nice pictures and recommendations. So
do we know where the budget is to cover the cost of that?
I think Melissa, and if it would, I think it would be good for someone to pull together, could be you with someone else, to write a proposal to New Hampshire Sea Grant to help support publication costs for it. I think that could be a way to support, if it's not too expensive. We could help support that, I think. We will also need to market the webinar or the hearing. I don't think we need to kind of dive into that now, but just recognizing that we will need to do that. And so that maybe can be a discussion offline with folks. Anybody here interested or able to help with developing the marketing plan for the hearing? I can work on that. Our communications team can help with that. But
yeah, Eric, I was reading somewhere in our past minutes that people were mentioning NPR as a way of marketing it. And it would be really exciting if Laura Canoy would have a program on it, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, great. Do you know her?
Annie Ropia could do a story, I'm sure, so as well.
I just found out that one of my closest friends from 1984 is the new CEO of NPR. So that's so it's interesting, weird circular connections.
So will the production of the hearing, will that be Alan, or is that going to be, because it's a commission activity? Senator Waters?
We can figure that out.
Okay.
Whoever, it's not clear who would do it, but we can figure out scheduling that and having it staffed. Yes.
Okay. All right, so we still, I mean, it seems like we've got really good idea. We've got kind of a tentative agenda. I think that feels very solid. We have a report potentially being moved forward. So I think we're in good shape there. And certainly we have some more things to do, and we'll just keep those parts of the process moving offline from this meeting. So with that, let's open the floor to announcements or other topics people would like to bring forward. And let's start with Judith.
Well, thank you. Yeah, this is my Pygmalion moment when I get to admire my own work, right? So I have, despite being warned by any number of people about staying away from plastics this year, I think that I just had to put forward this LSR 741 that is basically a reiteration of 1564 from last year. And it basically says disposable food service containers are going to be banned. I think that I, of course, changed it by adding another year to the effective date. But I felt that this was different enough from the plastic bag ban that we don't have to worry so much about the adamant opposition of the retail merchants associations, and also the vestigial queasiness about the unsanitary nature of bags that people are bringing in. The other thing that argued for it in my mind, aside from the 35 ardent supporters who will be very disappointed if we don't do something, is the city of Portsmouth is bringing in something relative to this, or is trying to defend its local ordinance relative to it. And I think it would be really great if we could give them some support by making it a statewide issue. I think the new mayor is trying to put off the implementation of that bill. So I think that more than any of the other plastic issues, that the foam thing is, its time has come. I don't think anybody can argue about the debris that is formed. I think it's self-evident what happens when marine creatures are eating this in big and small quantities. I'm really looking forward to taking this one to the floor. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking for co-sponsors, of course.
Co-sponsor, Judith, and thank you for doing it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The other, I'm also out of the Shoreland Septic Commission, and I apologize, Melissa, if I didn't let you know when I put this in at the last minute. I have 3 bills that I have brought in relative to the testing of septic systems when they're exchanging hands. It's very frustrating, and I think, Tom, you pointed this out, that the only way we can get at existing failing septic systems is when they exchange hands. And I think even municipalities are having a hard time getting their arms around this one. So that is the context in which we're doing this. And it basically says that if there is a septic system that is within the shoreland area and 250 feet from the water, the reference line, and it is more than 20 years old, that it not only has to have a site assessment, which is now required by the RSA, it will also have to have an evaluation of the system itself. And the report of that will go to DES and the municipality, as well as the buyers and sellers of the property. And then also another one, which is, I don't know where this legislature is going to be going. Remember the days when local control was everything? Well, that seems to be long past. But we have a number of municipalities, particularly on the northern end of Winnipesaukee, like Meredith and Moultonborough, that have been trying to do a lot of fancy footwork relative to getting the ability to develop stronger regulations at the municipal level to control these septic systems. And we were thinking that if we could just authorize municipalities to develop more stringent regulations, that we would open the doors to more creative approaches, and the ones that are more localized in terms of the need for them. I would see that if only OSI had the resources to see a model developed so that we would have some consistency among the municipalities, and also to give them some guidance on what might be legally sustainable. This would be in conformance with what we've been trying to do with the Southeast Watershed Association relative to stormwater ordinances. I'm told that there's no way that OSI has the resources to do this. But I think they could put in a grant to sea grant to get that, don't you? But anyway, so I needed to put that in because I think it's really important. And then there's something about redefining developed waterfront. That's just a refinement of the RSA. So those are the three ones that are being brought in. The site assessment ones at sale is 557. Authorizing municipalities is 556. And this tweaking of definition of waterfront is 558. And of course, I'm looking for co-sponsors.
Judith, I might co-sponsor the septic one if you send that over my way.
Great.
Being a gastroenterologist, that's right up my alley. So
we're not going to get too graphic with that one. Dennis Malloy is on the commission, and he had suggested that our new Portsmouth senator might be interested.
Yeah, Rebecca.
Yeah, I don't have any idea where she's coming from.
But she has some housing background, but she's an attorney for, I can't remember exactly, maybe David knows, but she does have some experience in legal affairs with housing, but not so much, I think, with septic. So
right. The realtors are being absolutely vicious about this. They want
is likely to go on to Energy and Natural Resources and maybe municipal.
Yeah.
So I think she's probably worth sending it to, and send it to me too. I'll take a look. I mean, it's not so much what I've done things on, but and I'll check with my city manager. But I think the philosophy in this situation we're in of seeing what we can do to stake out more ground for municipalities, to me, more proactive, because the state, at least for the next 2 years, is clearly not going to be. And maybe the only opportunity to do things on the environment is by enabling municipalities to do more than they can do now. And I have a couple of bills that are they're going to look in that direction too, and some other matters. But definitely get in touch with Senator Perkins Quokka.
Okay.
I don't know if you met her, Judith.
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
no.
She's terrific.
Yeah, she's great.
Terrific, and really is bringing an awful lot to the Senate. And since she's your senator, I hope the Durham reps will get to know her soon.
Right. One of the things that the commission felt very strongly, we had a lot of work to do in shaping up the RSAs. So they're more specific, they can be implemented better, particularly like code enforcement officers and things like that they're just kind of sloppy. So this was one way of helping the municipalities address it, but we really need to extend the commission in order to get at some of these issues. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Just a question. I'm not sure that we have shared the final report of the Septic System Study Commission with this group. Did that?
It's out there.
It's out there, but I'm going to send it right now.
Right, okay.
Everybody.
Judith, you had said that this is very specific to coastal septic systems over 20 years old, right?
No, it's waterfront.
Waterfront. Well, that's
Yeah.
what I'm sorry, by coastal. I used the wrong terminology.
So it's the
Waterfront.
same. Yeah.
Yeah, so I will reach out to the realtors. I have a good relationship with them.
Good.
And try to figure out why they would. I understand why they would oppose it, but it's going to be a tiny fraction of the cost of the sale, especially of waterfront properties. And yet the issue, the long-term issue of contamination of beaches and waterfront, it's going to sink their real estate values much more than upgrading septic systems would. So I think the cost benefit is clearly in the favor of the realtors if they just thought it through a little bit long term. So I can reach out to them, but I need the LSR. So if you can shoot me that, that'd be great.
Okay. They have been, they were the only ones to vote against approving the commission's report. And it was because of this issue. They've invited me to come to speak, as it were, to the whole group. And to tell you the truth, I haven't responded. I'm so mad at them. And they've done this to me uniformly, where I'll go and speak to them, and then they don't support me anyway. So it would help. Talk to Quinn for me, please.
David, your thoughts on that clearly generated a chuckle. So what are your thoughts?
I think that, asking them to think long term is amusing. They want to make
I always like to challenge people. It's
what they want to do. I think it's good to talk. I'm not sure whether I have great relationship with them, but that doesn't make any difference. It's whether they will oppose the policy because they think it could potentially stall sales or add to the cost of a property, and that's just so that's the way they're going to be. But I do think they should listen to folks, and I think they should hear from Judith and this commission. But I wouldn't, as much as your persuasive powers are immense, Doctor. I'm not sure whether it's.
I don't hold out any unrealistic hope, but I do find talking with them helps. So Judith, I agree with David. I wouldn't let your anger get in the way of your discussion because it never hurts to at least hear them out. But I don't have any delusions of persuadability. I just think it's always good to call them out.
It is. I've got to be a big girl about this. Yeah. And the other thing is that I found with this and with the home builders that the lobbyists are very different from the people they represent. The people they represent are more thoughtful. The lobbyists hold a line and are very inflexible. And unfortunately, the lobbyists are the ones we have to work with.
Right.
I think the lobbyists have two audiences. It's their members, but it's also their national associations. So that drives a lot of this.
Okay.
Right. And they also want to show results. The last thing they want is capitulation.
Melissa, did you have something to add?
Oh, I just a point of clarification on what we mean by waterfront. And this report is looking at freshwater and estuarine environments. So, and I think this is a really important aspect of this report with the near unanimous consensus by a very broad stakeholder group. And that is that there's a very interesting and I think powerful coalition of people who, from the New Hampshire Lakes Association, Rivers Coalition. This is not just about, the Great Bay Estuary. This is about water bodies throughout the state,
right,
and especially freshwater lakes that are having, increasing amounts of cyanobacteria blooms and really severe water quality issues that are very clearly related to nitrogen, to phosphorus pollution from septic systems. So I think this I just want to be sure that it's clear that we're talking about an
Right.
issue of statewide relevance here, not just.
Right, it's the waters of the state, it's fourth order rivers, ponds over 11 acres, it's that.
Melissa, could you send that report to
It's
me?
going out right this minute. Yep.
I don't see a chat here, so I don't
Oh,
think.
I don't have a link to it. I have the physical document. Judith, you might have.
No, I don't have it.
The
It's already in the state library, and it's been sent to the Senate. It's gone through all of the required.
Yeah, I just don't have a link for it
Yeah.
online. So otherwise,
Oh, it's not on our website.
again, then you have to go to the portal and get it there. I'm sending it
Okay.
right now.
That would be great. Yeah, thank you, Melissa. Melissa's done a fabulous job taking care of this commission. She was recruited as the scribe, and she has been the everything.
Well, it's
Thank you.
in process.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa.
So I have a couple of questions or thoughts really. And, on the coastal, the debris and the cleanup, I would take another look at it to see if there's a way to put it in that doesn't kick in a fee or do quite the same thing. So Sherry, maybe you and I could talk about that. As far as plastics and extended producer responsibility, I am looking at that, and despite what I said earlier, maybe it's one to get out there, because I'm working with states in the whole region and really across the country on this. And there is an effort to get bills at least introduced in every state on extended producer responsibility. So we'll see about that. The other thing I wondered about was about the oysters, aquaculture, and whether there's anything else that we can do legislatively to help them out and to encourage more availability of more land, if there's any way to take a look at that. So those are a couple of things that are on my mind.
I mean, one thing that might be interesting to take a look at least, and maybe people have taken a look at this, but the Hampton Seabrook estuary is open for harvesting oysters now, in the off season, in terms of like relative to tourism and occupation activity and in marinas. And so I'm wondering if there's anything that this commission could take up that would explore kind of what steps we could take to improve, if any, to understand the sources of pollution that are driving that, and potential mitigation for or addressing of those sources of pollution. I don't know if anybody knows. Melissa, have you explored that much, or is that something that we could think about?
I'm sorry, I was just focused on getting the report sent out, so I've missed the context for your question.
Well, Eric, if I may say, our commission is authorized to look in that direction, and we just haven't done much down there, right? We did some, but we haven't done much. So I think it's something perhaps that we could consider, focus a little more on at a meeting in the future. Yeah,
I'd be interested in learning more about that myself, and thinking about, if there's anything that organizations like Sea Grant can do to support understanding. And, so it's significant that any kind of operation that's going on in that estuary really only has a couple of months to be able to harvest. And you understand why, but is there anything that could be, that could be done to address that? Might be interesting. So we've got a little less than 10 minutes left. I think I definitely need to, I'm gonna have to kind of wrap up at 10, and I'm sure others have places to go. I know, so I wanna make sure we get to, there's one other thing I wanna make sure we get to, and then, maybe there's last call for announcements or other things to call attention to the commission. But Sheree, I had come up, Steve Kuchar reached out to me about a letter on behalf of the commission to support a proposal for marine debris removal that you were leading. So I thought this might be a good opportunity to give an overview of that project so that we can have, so I can write that letter, being truthful about how the commission is supporting that project. Sheree?
Sure, can you hear me?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Before we dive into that, I just wanted to mention that we are currently working with setting an area outside of the Hampton Seabrook estuary for the oyster company that is within the estuary, to allow them to be able to move product out to along the coastline in order to be able to harvest outside of their narrow window of opportunity within the estuary. So we are trying to make inroads to open up areas and open up possibilities for the aquaculture in that community and in that area.
Great.
As for the Gulf of Maine Association / Council's proposal that we are collaborating with, is submitting a proposal to NOAA Fisheries derelict gear RFP that's out there. So we are going to be working with Sea-Track, who is a company out of Massachusetts who has ROVs, remote vehicles with side scan sonar. And we're trying to set up 3 areas, one outside of the Hampton Seabrook estuary, one outside of the Rye, and one between Fort Stark and Odeon Point. So we've got like 3 rectangles in those areas that Sea-Track will survey and see if we can't come up with some noted derelict gear, bigger balls, medium balls of gear. And then we will be using we've got a couple things we're doing for the actual removal of these. One is our dive team with the Marine Division. That would be great training dives for them to go down and be able to cut up and remove some of the smaller balls of gear. And we are also talking right now with the Coast Guard, where their vessel will be their buoy tender vessel. It's quite a big vessel that comes up and down the coast a couple times a year. They will be willing to work with us for this particular proposal to be able to pull the larger gear balls up when they are in our waters. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to see if this ROV technology will help us out in the long term. So it is sort of a testing ground right now with this proposal.
Sherry, it's Senator Sherman. Would you mind reaching out to me offline and bringing me up to date on that? I'd love to be involved, and all of that area is my district. So if there's any way I can support it, but if you could just give me a call or shoot me an email or a text, I would love it.
Sure, absolutely. Today's a little bit busy. Can I do this tomorrow with you, Senator
Absolutely.
Sherman?
Tomorrow late afternoon is open. So I can give you my cell real quick. I know we have to go, but it's, do you have a pen?
Yes, sir.
603-828-9620.
Okay, I
Just
will
give me
reach
a
out to
text
you.
when you're free and we'll set up a time.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Did that give you enough information, Eric?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'll just leave it to I guess, extend to other folks. Do you have any questions for Sheree?
Yeah, I'm Sheree, Senator Waters, could you call me tomorrow as well? I want us to take a look at the cleanup debris bill and just see if there's a way that we could change it to get it through.
David, maybe we could do a quick Zoom. I could host it if that would be in the late afternoon, the three of us.
Anything that works.
Okay.
I'll send out a text to both of you and we can organize, say a 2 o'clock meeting.
And how about 3?
3 is fine.
Yeah, 3, I've got something at 2, so 3 o'clock, great. Thank you, Sheree.
Well, thank you. Eric, one more thing. Did you receive a template letter of support from Steve? If not, I can send you that.
No, I believe I did. I
Okay.
believe I did. I'm happy to write that letter. Is there any other?
Can I make a motion that we support, the commission supports your letter, so you can sign as the chair?
I'll second.
We have a second. All right, so I'll run through, we'll take a vote. Eric Chapman, I vote yes. Sheree, do you vote yes?
Yes.
Senator Waters
Yeah.
provided that. Tom Sherman,
Yes.
Melissa Paley,
Yes, thank you so much, by the way, terrific proposal, Sheree, and CLF will be submitting a letter of support as well.
Michael Edgar,
Aye.
Jen Dykstra,
Yep, absolutely.
Sabrina Stanwood,
Yes.
Tom Sherman,
Yes.
and anyone else on the call from the commission able to vote or interested in voting?
Eric, I think I voted twice,
You did?
but I like doing that. So
Yeah, we know. No comment. I'm not going to comment. All right, so that motion is passed. And with that, last call for very quick announcements for the group, and then we'll close. All right, do we have to vote to close the meeting?
Yes.
All right. So do we have a motion to end the meeting?
Moved.
second.
All right, Eric Chapman, I vote yes. Senator Waters?
Yes.
Tom Sherman?
Yes, twice.
Sheree Patterson?
Yes.
Michael Edgar?
Aye.
Jen Dykstra?
Yes.
Melissa Paley? Is there anybody else on the call who, I'm sorry, Sabrina?
Yes.
All right, with that, we adjourn, and we have quite a bit of work to do to prepare for the hearing, but I think we've got a good plan, and we'll keep the ball rolling. Thanks, everybody. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.